I want to thank you so much for paying attention to this video today. I'm here with my friends and colleague, Dr. Sefo Clay. We've traveled the world together all throughout Africa, a true freedom fighter, and she wants to introduce our friends today that have some harrowing stories that we have to keep an eye on Africa, an eye on one of the most populous nations, an eye on the future. Marilyn, please share.
Yes, well, the delegation from the Democratic Republic of Congo is here at the invitation of Friends of the Congo and the Women Ambassadors Foundation. We have to understand that they have gone through a very, very difficult time just reaching the United States. If you can imagine, they had the ropes tied around their waist and attached their children. Then they secured their children in a safe place and went through 5 countries in order to reach the United States. But before that, they had to go through various checkpoints, and those checkpoints were very difficult to manage because they have to say the right answers in order to pass the next checkpoint. So it was extremely a harrowing journey for them to even reach the United States. So first of all, thank you for coming here and being the advocate of civil society in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So if you could please introduce yourselves. Annie, yes.
Thank you very much. We traveled all the way from Africa to United States of America to plead our case, to amplify the voice of the voiceless, women who are going through a lot on a daily basis. We've been living in the war for the past 30 years. 30 years of war. I was a child myself when it started. I gave birth at 17 years in the context of conflict. 30 years down the line, today, rape is still used as a weapon of war. We still have little girls and boys who are being recruited by force in armed groups. And what we are pleading for is peace. We need peace. We need sexual violence to stop. We need ceasefire to be implemented, and we need the humanitarian corridor to open. I'm also taking this opportunity to just let America know that the impact of USAID closed down is huge on the population in a zone of conflict where we had the pandemic of mpox and where, like I said, rape is ravaging women. We have unwanted pregnancies and medication is not in hospitals. USAID was supporting 70% of humanitarian aid in this context. Closing it down is contributing into more people dying, into more women lacking support, including health, food, shelter in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
So if we could have the ladies introduce themselves.
Vous pouvez vous présenter aussi en même temps et donner votre message.
Oui, Justine Massika, ce qui est vrai est que comme Annie vient de le dire et Marlene, ce qui est vrai, ça fait 30 ans que nous sommes en guerre et ce sont les femmes et les jeunes qui payent le lourd tribut de cette guerre. Et là, nous demandons la participation des femmes en tant que partie prenante pour que nous puissions avoir la paix, puisque nous voulons la paix et nous voulons la participation effective des femmes d'aller pour parler sur tous les accords qui seront signés ici à Washington entre la République démocratique du Congo et le Rwanda. Nous voulons qu'ils tiennent compte surtout du social et de la participation des femmes dans toutes ces assises.
So
Yes.
I am here to plead that we be included in the negotiations that are going on in Washington and that they include women and children and that the social part should be taken into consideration. We have been suffering enough for too long.
Gisèle. Moi, c'est Gisèle Fazila Kambessa. Je travaille avec le Fonds pour les femmes congolaises, un fonds féministe qui encadre les organisations au niveau de la base. Je suis là pour présenter spécialement les cas de la RDC, plus précisément au Nord Kivu, à Goma, là où je vis. Si nous sommes là, c'est parce que nous voulons vraiment voir les cessez-le-feu effectifs par rapport à la résolution 2773 de 2025. Parce que toutefois, on parle de cessez-le-feu, mais ce n'est pas effectif sur terrain. Il y a le cessez-le-feu de l'autre côté, mais de l'autre côté, ça n'est pas observé.
My name is Giselle Kambesa. I've come from Goma. I'm working for the Congolese Fund for Women. And I'm here to plead for Congolese cases on the ceasefire and also implementation of the UN Security Council Resolution 2773. They are talking about ceasefire in the speech, but it is not effectively done on the ground. The war still continues.
Parce que vraiment, nous en avons marre avec des morts par-ci, par-là. Le sang continue à couler, plus de 30 ans. Et quand il y avait l'entrée de M23 au niveau de la RDC, au niveau de Goma, il y avait tant de morts. Les journaux parlent de tantôt de 3000, d'autres parlent de 700. Mais la réalité en est qu'il y avait vraiment beaucoup de morts au niveau de la RDC, au niveau de Goma. Et la cause sécuritaire, humanitaire n'est pas vraiment observée.
Many people are still dying. In January, when Goma passed into the control of the armed group, some press media talked about 3,000 people who died within a week. Some talk about 700. The reality is that the number of the people who died is more than that, and we are tired of burying our own people for the past 30 years. We need the ceasefire to be implemented, and we need to be in security and peace in the eastern part of the DRC. Madame Elodie.
Oui, merci pour nous. C'est un honneur, encore une fois, de nous retrouver ici à Washington, dans ces bâtiments que nous considérons comme l'œil du monde. Et nous disions qu'il fallait que nous arrivions. Et à un certain moment, nous demandions si ça serait possible. Aujourd'hui, c'est une réalité. Et nous remercions tous les partenaires qui ont accepté nous inviter et nous faciliter ceci. Et en principe, il y a le Congrès, il y a les femmes ambassadrices, il y a aussi The Friends of the Congo. Et donc là, je ne le dis pas à mon nom propre comme Elodie Tamuzinda, puisque nous sommes accompagnés, nous sommes entre les bonnes mains de la synergie des femmes pour la paix et la sécurité et d'autres femmes leaders qui viennent de Goma, comme Maman Justine et Gisèle. Nous sommes avec notre sœur, comme elle vient de se présenter, mais nous représentons aussi cette société civile au niveau national. Nous représentons aussi toutes ces organisations de jeunes qui ont voulu assez que notre message soit relayé, mais ils l'ont corrigé, ils l'ont adopté. Donc nous parlons aussi, et vous voyez la population en général. Merci beaucoup.
I'm not talking as a one woman, Elodie, only. I'm talking in the name of the civil society and the women's different platforms. As you can see, my sisters has introduced themselves. We are here to bring the message of the population. At some point, we thought it will be impossible for us to reach Washington, D.C., but it is an honor for us to be here, where it is the eye of the world, and to bring the message of the population for the world to know what is happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Well, thank you. Please tell me something about your journey, your travels here. Where did you begin and which countries did you go through?
Est-ce que nous pouvons parler un peu de notre voyage jusqu'à Washington? Où est-ce que ça a commencé? Quels sont les pays que nous avons traversés pour arriver ici? Qui prend?
Je vais prendre la parole. Moi, personnellement, je viens de Goma. Je viens de Goma. Goma, l'aéroport est fermé. Et ce n'est pas vraiment possible d'avoir l'avion au niveau de Goma parce que l'aéroport est fermé. J'ai été obligée de prendre d'abord le bus de Goma jusqu'à Kigali, jusqu'au Rwanda, plus précisément Gisenyi. De Gisenyi, j'ai fait Kampala, Entebbe. Et à partir de Kampala, maintenant, j'ai pris l'avion pour venir ici, escale au niveau de Bruxelles, à l'aéroport de Bruxelles. Et puis après, j'étais arrivée ici. Plus de deux jours de voyage.
I come from Goma, and it was impossible for me to fly from Goma or to go to Goma to Kinshasa because the airport is still closed due to war. I had to take the bus, go to Gisenyi, which is already in Rwanda, and then take another ground transport to Uganda, to fly from Uganda, which is the third country now, fly through Brussels, in Europe and arrive here. So it's more than 48 hours of traveling to just get to Washington, D.C.
And so we hear many things about the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And so for context, you can keep translating while we're talking.
Nous apprenons beaucoup de choses de ce qui se passe en République démocratique
We're very
du Congo.
familiar with the history of King Leopold
On a l'histoire
and what he's
des
done
rois
to
Léopoldais,
African people there.
ce qu'il a fait aux Africains. en
This was one of the
RDC.
original Holocausts where millions of African bodies
L'Holocauste des
were chopped and butchered.
Congolais et des Aïrois qui étaient coupés les bras.
That's oftentimes deleted and erased from American history.
Ça a été effacé de l'histoire de Noirs américains, ces exactions.
So you hear of Belgian chocolate, but all of this started coming from the Congo.
On apprend l'histoire des chocolats belges, mais il y a l'histoire sombre derrière ces chocolats qui
And what's so special about this part of the world is it's the only part of the world that has all of the minerals to manufacture a car.
pour cette partie du monde et que c'est la partie qui regorge les minéraux stratégiques.
So how do we end up with a system where we have the richest soil has some of the poorest people on
Comment est-ce
top
que
of
nous
the
sommes
land?
parvenus à avoir les systèmes où les sols les plus riches abritent les populations les plus pauvres? Madame Elodie?
Ce que l'honorable vient de dessiner comme plan de la RDC, du Congo, c'est ça la réalité. Un grand pays au cœur de l'Afrique avec tous les minéraux qui sont sur les tableaux de
What
Mendeleev.
Senator just said, that is the picture. The DRC is a big country in the middle of Africa with many strategic minerals.
Mais depuis la conférence de Berlin jusqu'à aujourd'hui, nous avons raté plusieurs virages et tout ce que nous avons au centre, ce sont ces minéraux stratégiques.
Since the Berlin conference up to today, we have missed so many opportunities for starting our own development, and we have gone through different conflicts. And what is in the center of all different conflicts is these strategic minerals.
Aujourd'hui, on parle de lithium, mais nos parents, nos arrière-grands-parents parlaient de caoutchouc.
Today, they're talking about lithium, but our great parents were talking about rubber.
Donc, toute une vie, toutes les générations qui ont vu des mains coupées, qui ont vu des personnes enchaînées et déportées, et jusqu'à aujourd'hui, des guerres, nous parlons de 30 ans, mais ça vient encore de très loin, et où nous n'avons pas eu de grands-parents qui sont partis aux États-Unis, qu'on appelait Nouveau Monde pour les plantations aussi.
So this has been a generational problem because our great parents were deported. Some of them, they cast their arm due to natural resources. We're talking about 30 years of war today, but it's not just 30 years. It started long way behind.
Aujourd'hui, sans la RDC, nous n'avons pas de iPod, nous n'avons pas de téléphone iPhone, nous n'avons pas de nouvelles technologies.
Without the DRC today, it will be difficult to manufacture iPhones, iPad, and the new technology will suffer.
Mais la misère est au point. Les femmes violées, des guerres à répétition, comme venaient de le décrire nos sœurs, nous n'allons plus y revenir. Mais nous nous rendons compte que les États-Unis, aujourd'hui, ne voient encore que ces minéraux. Donc l'histoire va se répéter encore et encore. Nous allons encore passer et nos enfants vont vivre la même chose.
Yeah, suffering is just indescribable for our people. And if we are here today, it's because we realize that the United States of America want to go into a deal that is putting strategic minerals in the center, forgetting the situation of the population living around the area where these minerals are being found on the soil.
Comment cette histoire que mes sœurs viennent de décrire, la manière dont elles ont traversé des frontières frauduleusement pour arriver jusqu'ici, la manière dont elles ont fui avec des enfants enchaînés par-ci par-là, nous sommes des Africains avec un nombre important des enfants, pour fuir. Les femmes sont obligées de ligoter leurs enfants comme des chèvres pour que les enfants ne s'égarent pas. Et dans ces conditions, on ne parle que des minéraux.
We don't want the history to repeat itself because our great-parents' hands were cut. Today, we want to prevent that situation from happening again. So we are here to raise the voice and to talk about the suffering of women who are going from one place to a different place, who are suffering because of the same natural minerals, and that America is conducting a deal that's not talking about people's well-being but putting an accent again on the strategic mineral.
Et nous suivons tout à la télé et dans des journaux. Nous ne
And-
sommes pas nous ne
And
sommes
we
pas
see
concernés.
these things on television. We see these things on the news. We are not concerned. We are not consulted. Our voices, our opinion is not taken into consideration.
Quelle est la différence entre les deals d'aujourd'hui et les deals de caoutchouc qui nous ont coupé les mains?
What is the difference between the deal that Washington, D.C. want the people to sign today and the deal that was signed in Berlin when our great-parents' hands were being cut, when our great-parents were deported from Africa to America?
On voyait que les caoutchoucs, on voyait que les chocolats, et aujourd'hui on voit que les minéraux.
Back then, it was only rubber, only chocolate production, and today it is only natural minerals.
Well, if I can add one thing to that for some of the people that are watching, and this is a very painful conversation to even recount this and live through this memory.
Annie.
Si je peux revenir et faire comprendre à la population américaine que ça, c'est une conversation très difficile parce que ça réveille des souvenirs douloureux.
And many of these images are blocked. They're never broadcast on our television and social media in the United States.
Et beaucoup de ces images sont censurées, elles ne sont pas diffusées sur les réseaux sociaux ou sur la télévision américaine.
And so the pain is kind of unimaginable to see that people can be so greedy that to think or accuse someone of stealing mines or stealing diamonds, that there are people that would take people's wrists off, and you can see a village of people with no hands.
Et l'histoire est douloureuse de voir qu'il y a des communautés ou des gens qui pouvaient prendre ou voler les minéraux, les diamants d'autres communautés en coupant les mains, et on pouvait trouver tout un village avec des personnes sans mains.
And we're talking about this practice happens in 2025, not 1925, not 1825. It happened then, but it's happening today.
Ces pratiques continuent à se passer en 2025. Ça s'est passé il y a des siècles, mais ça se passe encore aujourd'hui.
And so many of those same corporations then that did this in the 1925s and 1825s are in existence and still maintain this channel of exploitation to this very day.
Toutes ces pratiques qui ont eu lieu dans les années 1800 ou 1925 continuent jusqu'à aujourd'hui, cette exploitation, cette manière d'exploiter les terres au prix des sacrifices des populations de ces terres.
So tell me more about your ambition to come here and what you were hoping to achieve by us getting together. And I thank you so much for being so heroic and coming to visit me.
Merci d'avoir été héroïque pour venir visiter les sénateurs. Nous pouvons partager ce qui nous a amenés ici et ce que nous attendons de lui. Je peux partager ce qu'on a dit hier? Okay. What brought us here and what brought us specially to talk to a representative of the people? At first, because we want our voices to be amplified by a representative of the people, not just American people, but the human beings that we are. And secondly, our voices come with a message of ceasefire and also a message of the humanitarian aid. It is extremely vital for America to consider funding humanitarian aid in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. As we say, it is at the crossroad of war, mpox, monkeypox pandemic, and use of sexual violence as a weapon of war. We need medication, people need food, people need clean water, people need shelter, people need free movement. The airport is still closed. With that, we also need your support to have an American executive to listen to us, because we know there is a person who has been designated, Mr. Ambassador Boulos, who is coordinating the process for the DRC. We need him to listen to our voice, maybe through this broadcasting, so that women's voices can be heard, not just the political institution. And secondly, we need women's participation, as we said it before, but there is also an issue around impunity. We need impunity to end, access to justice, transitional justice for those who have committed crimes against humanity, rape, against women, they cannot go scot-free if through your support and you amplifying our voices, America can do something about those who are involved in committing crime in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic.
So tell me something about, and I don't even like to use that word, of a woman being violated sexually. What happens today if a woman makes that claim of having been violated by a man?
Wherever a woman is, if the woman is in a part in the DRC that is controlled by the armed group, one thing is that all judicial institutions are closed down. So there is just no justice happening there. And we have a huge challenge around data security and also the protection of human rights defenders such as us. Our lives at stake are in danger, because if you bring out and the fact that women are being raped, you have to demonstrate that how that happened. And in the situation of war, it is extremely difficult to bring to secure evidence of the violation that is happening there right now. But also when we are in the part that is controlled by our government, access to justice is extremely difficult due to many challenges, one of them being corruption, for instance, one of them being inaccessibility in terms of distances from where people are and where the judicial instances are located, and it is extremely expensive. So access to justice is a luxury that is almost reserved to those who have money to go access. This is why we are calling out on end stop of impunity, because those committing violence on women are also like the same as those who are not offering services, basic social services that women need to access to. So today what happens is we are documenting cases, but we need the support of international community to reinforce implementation of UN resolutions, but also of our in-country legal framework.
And please tell me about your personal experience with the cutback of USAID. What was it like, and on the day that law came in under this new administration, the effects on you?
On peut partager nos expériences sur la coupure de l'USAID sur l'aide humanitaire.
Oui, je vais parler de la partie Est. Ce qui est vrai est que l'aide humanitaire des États-Unis était beaucoup plus axée.
I will talk about the eastern part. Continue.
Oui, c'était beaucoup plus axé sur l'humanitaire et surtout pour supporter les survivants de violences sexuelles. Mais depuis qu'on a coupé, aujourd'hui, comme il y a eu augmentation des violences sexuelles, il y a une femme ou une jeune fille qui est violée toutes les 4 minutes. Et il n'y a pas la prise en charge.
I will talk about the eastern part of Democratic Republic of Congo. USAID funding was supporting mainly humanitarian response and specifically support to survivors of gender-based violence, including sexual violence in conflict. And with USAID cutting down its funding and the increase of sexual violence in the conflict, today each 4 minutes, one woman or young woman is being sexually violated in DRC.
Donc là, c'est un problème. Nous n'avons pas accès aux premiers soins. Nous n'avons pas accès à l'eau potable, comme l'a dit Annie. Nous n'avons pas. Donc c'est tout un problème de l'aide humanitaire, puisqu'il y a une gap au moins de 70% de financement.
Yeah, and now one woman being raped every 4 minutes, we don't have funding or resources for first aid response to sexual violence survivor, while USAID funding was covering 70% of that support, and we don't know how that gap will be covered without funding.
Il y a plusieurs centres de santé qui ont fermé. Il y a des maisons d'accueil des femmes qui ont fermé. Il y a plusieurs choses que nous n'avons pas à cause de ces financements qui ont été coupés.
Many health centers has closed down. Many safe houses has closed down, and many centers that was offering services to survivors has closed down. We don't have funding, and it's making it very difficult to support survivors of sexual violence.
And so were you getting food support from the USAID?
Est-ce qu'on recevait l'appui en nourriture de l'USAID?
L'USAID finançait le programme mondial de PAM. Et là, on recevait via le PAM.
USAID was supporting World Food Program, which is a United Nations program, and then the World Food Program was redistributing to our organizations, and this is how we got access to it to support communities.
And so there's been a human toll. Have you seen death as a result of the aid being cut?
Les morts,
Oui.
les enfants.
Ça, c'est vrai. Il faut dire que depuis la guerre, il y a la ville de Goma qui a accueilli beaucoup de déplacés internes. Dans la partie est, on parle de 7 millions de déplacés, mais uniquement dans la ville de Goma, on avait 2 700 000 déplacés internes. Et comme il n'y avait pas l'assistance humanitaire, c'est chaque jour qu'on enterrait des cadavres à cause de la famine.
Yes, we have seen people die of hunger. We had 7 million internally displaced people. Goma itself was hosting over 2 million. And because of war since January, every day we see people dying of hunger. Just to add on that, there were even a ceremony that was organized to bury more than 200 bodies on a single day of the people who died of hunger. And today, the World Food Program's report is reporting that we have a malnutrition problem in Goma and the surrounding of Goma. But this is a contradictory because this region is very rich in agriculture, but there is no way to go grow food when the arms are still shooting, when there is no ceasefire, where there is insecurity.
In the interest of time, I'd like for everyone to give me a closing statement, something that you want our people and the world to know.
Comme clôture, il aimerait que chaque personne donne une phrase de clôture et quelque chose que vous aimeriez que la population américaine retienne de notre visite. Vous pouvez commencer comme ça, moi je vais clôturer.
Oui, puisque j'ai parlé des non-implications de la population dans les enjeux, que ce soit sociaux ou économiques. Et donc, notre souhait, nous, en tant que femmes, jeunes filles, la population en général, puisqu'il y a aussi la société civile, les églises, il y a même l'opposition et la majorité. Ce n'est pas dire que la majorité aussi est contente de ce qui se passe. Donc, nous voulons à ce qu'il y ait inclusion dans tout ce qu'il peut y avoir comme pour parler et que ça ne soit pas seulement un problème des dirigeants, puisque c'est nous qui assumons et qui subissons toutes les affres de la guerre et les conséquences y afférentes.
As women, we wish for any process to be inclusive of women, religious people, and all communities, not just leading the politicians, people, but all community, because we are the ones suffering from the conflict.
Moi, personnellement, je vais appeler à la population, surtout les Américains, que tout processus, tout contrat qu'ils veulent signer, même les accords, que ça puisse vraiment aller dans le sens de nous amener la paix. Nous voulons seulement la paix et le reste, je pense que ça va aller.
I'm calling on the population of America to plead for us that any process that may be going on in America should put peace in the center. We only need peace and everything else can be right after that.
Oui, il y a la RDC qui facilite le développement écologique. Quand on parle du développement écologique, ce sont des voitures électriques. On facilite la communication mondiale avec les téléphones, avec les ordinateurs. Oui, nous facilitons la communication mondiale, nous facilitons le développement écologique, mais tout ce que nous demandons à l'Amérique, c'est de nous donner la paix, puisque nous, on facilite le développement écologique.
DRC, with its mineral, is contributing in ecological development through minerals that are facilitating manufacturing of electrical cars or telephone for communication. All that we expect in exchange is for America and its people to contribute in giving us back peace. All we need is peace. And to conclude, my message will be women and girls living in the eastern part of the Democratic of Congo are human beings and do not deserve to go through sexual violence. We need justice to be done for these women. We need impunity to end, and we need peace and humanitarian aid. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank these young ladies for their courage, their contribution. I see in the spirit of our culture, Harriet Tubman, a Sojourner Truth, and Ida B. Wells. You have done something very courageous. It's very dangerous for you to take this position. I stand in support, and we want to see peace in the Congo, and we want to stop the exploitation of the mineral wealth. God bless you until we meet again.
Amen.
Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you so much.